Speak English anyway, a place where confidence matters more than perfection, and every voice deserves to be heard.
Hey people, I'm Linda.
And I'm Ethan. And today we're going somewhere that I think a lot of English learning content completely ignores, which is strange because it is arguably the whole point of learning a language in the first place.
The whole point. We are talking about connection. Specifically, real connection. The kind that goes past the surface. The kind that makes someone feel like they actually know you, not just information about you.
And the reason this gets ignored is that it is harder to teach than grammar. You cannot make a worksheet about genuine human connection, although someone has probably tried.
Someone has definitely tried. Today, we are talking about what it actually takes to connect with people in English. Not just communicate, connect. And why it is harder than it looks. Not because of the language, because of something else entirely. Something much more interesting than grammar.
And also, I want to say this early, something that is genuinely learnable. It is not a talent you have or do not have. It's a set of habits and orientations that you can develop, which is the good news.
The good news. Okay, I want to start with something real. When I first moved to an English-speaking city, I was excited. I thought, this is it. I will be immersed. I will make friends. I will finally have the conversations I have been practicing for. And the language was fine. My English was working. I could order coffee, I could ask for directions, I could follow conversations.
Linguistically functional, the dream of every intermediate learner.
Exactly. But I was so lonely for a very long time, and it took me a while to understand why, because it was not the language that was the barrier. It was something underneath the language, something about how to be a person in English. Not just how to speak English, but how to be warm, how to be funny, how to be vulnerable, how to let someone in a language that was not the one I grew up in.
There's a version of this I know well. For the first year or so of really using English socially, I was pleasant, I was polite, I was perfectly adequate company at a dinner table, but I was not particularly myself. I was presenting a kind of diplomatic edition of myself, inoffensive, uncomplicated, fine.
Fine. That word again.
Fine keeps coming up, and it keeps meaning the same thing, the absence of the actual person behind the presentation.
And I think a lot of people experience this and interpret it as, I am not good enough at English yet. But that's not it. People make deep connections in broken English all the time. People fail to connect in perfect English all the time. The language is not the barrier. The willingness to be seen is the barrier.
The willingness to be seen, which, in fairness, is a barrier in your first language, too. It's just more comfortable to hide in your first language because you have more sophisticated hiding tools. In English, you hide less elegantly, which, paradoxically, can make you more real.
Less elegant hiding. That's one way to reframe it. Because connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability in a second language feels twice as exposed. When you're unsure of your words, when you're searching, when you stumble, you feel more visible than you want to be, and that visibility is uncomfortable.
And the natural response to discomfort is protection. You keep conversations light, you stay at the surface, you're polite and fine and nothing more, which is safe and which is also completely invisible.
Fine is the enemy of connection, and I want to be specific about what I mean by connection. I do not mean that every conversation needs to be a therapy session. I do not mean that every "how are you" deserves a 10-minute emotional disclosure. Connection can happen in small moments, a shared laugh, a moment of genuine surprise, a comment that was slightly more honest than expected. These are all connection. The key is that something real passed between two people, even briefly.
And the absence of those moments, the long stretches of pleasant, smooth, informative conversation where nothing real passes between anyone, that is what loneliness actually is. Not the absence of people, the absence of real moments with people.
The absence of real moments. Yes. So, what actually creates connection in English? What moves a conversation from surface to real? I think it starts with being genuinely curious about the other person, not performing curiosity, actually having it.
There is a significant difference. I have been on the receiving end of performed curiosity, and it has a very specific quality. The questions come fast, they are thorough, they cover every expected topic, and somehow you feel completely unseen by the end of it.
Because the questions were a checklist, not a real inquiry into who you are.
Exactly. Whereas genuine curiosity, you feel it when someone asks a follow-up question that was not on their list, a question that came from something you said that caught their attention, something they actually wanted to know more about. That question says, I was listening, I noticed something, I want to understand it better.
Genuine curiosity sounds like, oh, that is interesting. Why did you choose that? What was that like? Did you find it hard? It follows the thread. It goes deeper. It says, I am not just collecting information about you. I am actually interested in your experience.
And the beautiful thing is, this is something you can practice. Being genuinely curious is partly a habit of attention. You train yourself to listen for the hook in what someone says, the detail that opens into something more interesting, and you follow it.
We talked about hooks in episode 5, the conversation episode, and it connects directly here. Because in a practical conversation, a hook keeps the exchange moving. But in a deeper conversation, a hook is the thing that turns an exchange into a real encounter. Same skill, different depth.
Same skill, different depth. I like that. It's the same attention being applied at different levels.
And second, connection requires something personal from you too, not just curiosity about them, something real from your side, a real opinion, a real story, a real feeling, not just asking questions and giving nothing back.
Right, because a conversation where one person asks everything and gives nothing is not a conversation. It's an interview. And interviews are not connection. They are data collection. The person being interviewed leaves knowing nothing about the interviewer, which means there was no meeting, just extraction.
So give something. Tell a story that's a little uncomfortable. Share an opinion that might not be agreed with. Admit something small. Be human out loud and in English, even when the English is imperfect.
Especially when it's imperfect, because imperfect English that says something real lands better than perfect English that says nothing. I've had conversations where my grammar was a mess and the connection was immediate, and conversations where my English was flawless and I left feeling like I had talked to a wall. The language was not the variable, the realness was.
The realness was the variable. And this takes courage, because being real in a second language feels doubly exposed. You are already uncertain about the words. Adding emotional honesty on top of that can feel like too much.
But here is what I have noticed. People are more forgiving of emotional honesty than they are of emotional absence. If you say something real and imperfect, they lean in. If you are polished and empty, they politely disengage. Imperfect and real beats perfect and hollow every time.
Every time. Third, connection is built in small moments, not big ones. I think people wait for the profound conversation, the deep talk, the moment where everything clicks. And those moments are beautiful when they happen, but they're rare, and they almost never happen first.
They are built toward through hundreds of small moments that felt ordinary while they were happening. I can trace most of my real friendships back to a moment that meant nothing at the time. A shared frustration about something small, a joke that landed unexpectedly, a moment where someone said something more honest than the situation seemed to require.
And those small moments accumulate. They build a foundation. And one day, the foundation is solid enough that the bigger moments can happen. But you cannot skip the small ones. You cannot arrive at depth without passing through shallowness first.
You cannot skip the small ones, which is actually reassuring if you think about it, because small moments are available in every conversation. You do not need the perfect setting or the perfect topic or the perfect English.
You just need to notice when a small, real moment is available and take it.
Take it. Yes. And fourth, you cannot connect with everyone, and that's okay. Some people will not click with you in English. Some conversations will stay on the surface no matter what you do. Some people are just not your people.
And this is where I think a lot of learners blame the language for something that's just human incompatibility. You had a flat conversation, it must be because your English wasn't good enough. But if you put that same conversation in your first language, it might have been equally flat. Some people are just not going to be your people, in any language.
And knowing that, really knowing it, takes the pressure off every single interaction. You're not auditioning, you're just meeting people. Some will matter more, some will matter a lot. And you'll know when it happens, because it won't feel like English anymore. It'll feel like, oh, there you are.
That moment when the language disappears and you're just two people who found each other. I've had that moment a few times in English, and it's, without exaggeration, one of the best feelings I've experienced in this language. Better than any exam result, better than any fluency milestone, just, oh, there you are.
Worth all of it. Worth every awkward moment, every wrong word, every nod and smile when you had understood nothing. All of it. And one more thing, and this is the part I wish someone had told me in that first year. It's okay to tell people that English is not your first language. Not as an apology, just as information.
Yes, and I would add, do it early. Not because you owe anyone an explanation of your background, but because when you name it early, the conversation shifts. People become more curious. They ask about your first language. They ask what English feels like from the inside. And that question, what does English feel like from the inside, opens one of the most interesting conversations you can have, because most people have never thought to ask it, and your answer is genuinely interesting to them.
Because your answer is a perspective they do not have. And perspective is one of the rarest and most valuable things you can offer anyone in a conversation.
Exactly. You are not a learner of English. You are a person who inhabits English and also inhabits another language. That is not a limitation. That is a double view, a stereo perspective on the world. And that is fascinating to people who only have mono.
Stereo perspective. I love that. And vulnerability invites vulnerability. When you share that small truth about yourself, being a learner, navigating this, the other person often meets you with their own version of navigating something, their own uncertainty, their own thing they are figuring out.
Because everyone is figuring something out. The people who seem most comfortable are often the most surprised when someone else admits to struggling, because they had assumed they were the only one. And then you say one honest thing and they think, oh, me too.
Me too. That is where real friendship begins. Not in the perfect conversation, in the honest one. The one where you say, here is a real thing about me, and you wait to see if the other person meets you there.
And the right ones always do. Eventually, it takes patience, but they do.
They always do. Okay, word tour.
7 words, none of them gentle despite the framing.
First word, connection.
Connection is a real bond between people, a feeling of being understood and understood back. More than politeness, more than information exchange, something mutual and alive. You know it when it happens because something in you responds to something in them, and the conversation becomes different.
For example, she spoke basic English, but the connection was immediate and real. Or, language is the vehicle for connection, not the connection itself.
Connection. Repeat. Connection.
Connection. Next, vulnerability.
Vulnerability means being open to being seen, including the uncertain, imperfect parts of yourself. It is not weakness, it is the precondition for any real encounter with another person. You cannot connect with someone's armor, only with the person inside it.
For example, real connection requires vulnerability. You have to give something real to get something real back. Or, vulnerability in a second language feels twice as exposed, and also twice as powerful when it lands.
Vulnerability. Repeat. Vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Next, genuine.
Genuine means real and sincere, not performed, not manufactured for effect. Genuine curiosity is curiosity that actually wants to know. Genuine warmth is warmth that actually exists. People are extremely good at detecting the difference, even without being able to explain how they do it.
For example, people can feel the difference between genuine interest and polite questions. Or, be genuinely curious and the conversation will go somewhere real.
Genuine. Repeat. Genuine.
Genuine. Next, palpable.
Palpable means so strong it can almost be felt physically, something so clear it is almost tangible. When something is palpable in a conversation, you don't have to explain it. Everyone in the room already feels it.
For example, her interest in his story was palpable. He opened up immediately. Or, the discomfort in the room was palpable. Nobody was being real and everyone could feel it.
Palpable. Repeat. Palpable.
Palpable. Next, surface.
Surface means the outer layer, the visible, accessible top of something. A surface conversation stays at the top with pleasantries and safe topics, never going deeper. Surface is fine. Surface is just not connection.
For example, they talked for an hour, but it all stayed on the surface. Or, fine is the language of the surface. Real connection lives underneath.
Surface. Repeat. Surface.
Surface. Next, spontaneous.
Spontaneous means natural and unplanned, happening freely in the moment without preparation or performance. The most memorable moments in conversations are almost always spontaneous. They could not have been planned because the conditions for them were created by everything that came before.
For example, humor in a second language takes time because spontaneous jokes require instant access to the language. Or, the most genuine connections feel spontaneous, like they happened by themselves, even though they were built through many small moments.
Spontaneous. Repeat. Spontaneous.
Spontaneous. And last one, mutual.
Mutual means shared equally between two people, both giving, both receiving, both present. Real connection cannot exist on only one side. If only one person is being real, it is not connection. It is one person being brave while the other person watches. Both have to be in it.
For example, real connection is mutual. It cannot exist on only one side. Or, the moment felt mutual. Both of them knew something real had happened, and neither of them said so out loud. They did not have to.
Mutual. Repeat. Mutual.
Mutual. 3 actions for this week, and I mean these. These are not suggestions.
Strong energy from Linda today.
Action 1. In one English conversation this week, ask one follow-up question. Not the first question, the second one. The one that goes a little deeper. What was that like? Why did you choose that? How did you feel about it? Just one deeper question. See what opens.
Action 2. Give something real. In any English conversation this week, share one small, honest thing about yourself. Not a confession, just something slightly more true than fine. A real opinion, a genuine feeling, something that is actually you, not the diplomatic edition of you.
And action 3, release the pressure. Go into every English conversation this week with one intention only, to meet the person in front of you, not to impress them, not to demonstrate your English level, not to make a friend necessarily, just to meet them. Whatever happens after that, happens.
Just meet them and see what is there. Sometimes nothing, sometimes something small, occasionally something that turns out to be everything.
Occasionally everything. Take care of your English.
And take care of your heart.
This is Linda.
And this is Ethan.
You've been listening to Speak English Anyway.
Bye, everyone, And remember, somewhere out there, someone is waiting to say in English, "Oh, there you are."
Go find them. They are probably also wondering where you are.